Hello, guys. As a follow up to the training we had on Saturday around pen fattening, this is an ideal feed trough for your pens. And as you can see, we discussed about there must be an access rod which you use when you're putting the feed into the trough. You see here, the feed trough is here, and all this here is a rod which can accommodate actually a tractor, so a tractor can pass smoothly with a mixer and an outlet, pouring food into the feed into the trough like this. Now, regarding the specifications of the feed trough, now, number one, the height of your trough, the outer side here from here to down here, it must be somewhere around 60 centimeters. You can always refine it according to the height of your outlet or the outlet of the mixer, but normally it's around 60 centimeters. Then you can make this a double course, depending on probably availability of bricks and so. But it's always good to use a double course so that it's strong. Then moving from the inside now, in terms of the size, from here, from this corner to this end here, it must be somewhere around 60 centimeters as well. But then remember, the inside always curves from both sides to avoid, blind corners, which then makes it difficult for animal to then eat or to consume all the feed. So here, it's a U-shaped from both sides, as you can see. This is what we encourage, and this is an ideal feed trough. And you see there's an outlet here. In case probably water just enters inside mistakenly, it makes it easy for you to clean out the trough. Either the residual feed or even the water can actually be moved out of the trough very easily. Now, going to the inside, you see again, this is a double course. Yeah, and this one must be more concretized. It must be stronger because it's the side that interacts with the animal almost every time. So it has to be very stronger. Otherwise, it will start peeling off. Now, the height of the outside here, from here to down here, it must be 30 centimeters or somewhere around there. You can always adjust it between probably 30 centimeters and 45 centimeters according to the slope of your area. But as a standard, if you make it somewhere between 30 centimeters, it becomes ideal. Then you see as well the bar from this point up to this. Where do you put this bar? Normally, it has to be somewhere in between 60 centimeters as well. And this distance here must basically accommodate an animal to just gate its head into the trough. So 60 centimeters is ideal, as you can see here. Then now, importantly, we said there must be a concrete floor in the inside of your trough where the animal normally stand when they are feeding. And normally this here, it must be two meters. So it's from here to this point here. It must be 2 meters. This is the size that actually accommodates all classes of animals to be able to stand here whilst they are feeding. If this floor is not there, what happens is, because the animals spend most of the time standing here when they are feeding, so it starts, like digging deeper over time until you'll have this one now hanging. So it's very important that you put this concrete floor and you make sure that your measurements here are up to standard. And remember, in terms of this pause here in the bar, you can use that. You can even use wood pause or metal pause, depending on the resources you have, or depending on what's cheaper for you. But you can equally use a variety of materials for this. And also remember, if it's very long, like here, the stretch of this one, it probably can slope in both ends. To make it easy when you are cleaning, you don't want to move from here with the dirt until you get there. So you can slant it that side, and you also slant it this side to allow you to, when you are cleaning, you just move stuff that's here towards this side, and the stuff that's there, you just push it towards that side. If you master that, then you are good to go. Right. So on your feed troughs, like we said, there must be a rod on the outer side of your feed trough that's able to accommodate a tractor or even a truck. Now you see here, this is a rod space on the outside of the feed trough. Probably if you want to look at how wide is it, I can measure it here. It's like 1, 2, 3, probably 3.5 to 4 meters. It's basically a standard road that's able to accommodate, say, a tractor or a truck. And also remember that on the far end, there should be enough space to allow your tractor to be able to turn, or even a truck. So it's important to always have this, because especially when your numbers increase, you probably be forced to maybe put 2 tons, 3 tons, 4 tons of feed per day. And that's only made easy if you're using a tractor with a mixer and an outlet here. Now, still on your feed trough and on the pasture shed. So now the road area, it's advisable to have the road area under the shed. Why is the shed important? When it's raining, your workers are able to come here and putting feed here nicely without any rainfall disturbances, and it also actually improves your efficiency. So now there has to be a standard or a partial shade that covers the area where the road is. Now, how high should your shed be put? If you look at here, it's almost close to 4 meters high, or maybe 3.5. So it's always important to make sure that the height of your shed, I would advise to say it must be at least 3 meters. Why 3 meters? Is to accommodate the height of your tractor or of your truck. So when you are putting it, have in mind that probably you are going to come in with a tractor which is probably 3 meters high, or a truck which is close to 4 meters, and so. So it's important to make sure that you accommodate that all the height of all the equipments you have at the farm is actually accommodated by your shed. So if you can make it at least 3 meters or even higher, that's quite, it's much better. Most errors that are done, or mistakes that are done by farmers, is that they put these poles here. You see these ones? They are at the far end of your road, so that they don't disturb your tractors. And now, most people will put these poles here now, right here in the middle of the road, and you can't work it in a tractor now. So it's important that you are creative around how you support your shed. You support your shed by having these ones here, right by the inside of the trough, right in the middle of this. You have this to support this bar, and at the same time they work also to support your roof. And all this one is just a free space. You have your poles right at the end of the road. Your space here is wide enough to accommodate your equipment. Also makes it easy for workers to come in, up and down, etc. And it's also important to make sure that this road, there is actually a good slope. You don't want water to just remain here stagnant here, because when it rains, if there's going to be water here that's just here stagnant, so it disturbs the operation. So you don't want your operations to be disturbed. Make it wide enough. Make sure there's a bit of slope to drain water, and make sure that there's enough space to allow your tractors to turn. And that's it. And also here, just be smart about how you space your poles here. You see, one pole is here, and there's 1, 2, 3, almost 4 meters, and the other pole is here. Sometimes you would want to do probably an operation where a tractor or a lorry must just come here and probably flush here. So you should have all this in mind. Make it very easy and simple for the equipment to come in and out without difficulties. Once you master that, then you are good to go. There's a critical question that farmers normally ask. So they say, if I want to fit in 200 animals, should that mean that I should build a feed trough that is able to accommodate 200 animals at a time? So my answer to that is always, when the animals are feeding, there's always this behavioral, attitude that's displayed by the animal. So they feed in groups. So you look at these animals, there was no feed. Feed has just been put now. So there's a first group that comes in that is feeding now. I've counted these animals. There are about 6 animals. And why these 6 animals? Normally, it's the bully animals, those that are fit, and normally probably those of the same, almost of the same size. Now, the other animals are waiting inside there. As soon as these animals finish feeding, some animals are going to come here and they feed as well. So they normally, if you observe them very closely, you see that they normally form up to three groups. So there's a first group that feeds, then there's a second group, then there's a last group. So it means now, for planning purposes, a feed trough that is able to support, say, 100 animals at a time, it means that feed trough, per the process of fattening, is able to support thrice the number of animals that can feed at a time. It means if it's able to support 100 animals at a time in that pen, you can put like 300 animals. Because what will happen is that the first group will feed, the first 100 will feed. It's of the animals that are very fit and bully, etc. Then those animals that are relatively fit, like the medium group in the middle, they will come after the first group. Then the last group will be of those animals probably that are very weak and that are soft, dorsal, and maybe probably those that are young. Now, it also now takes us to why sometimes it is important to group these animals according to their size, according to their fitness, and maybe according to their sex. So it means now you can, if you mix different classes of animals, this is what will happen. Those ones that are fit will feed first, while some are waiting, and the ones that are weak, they will feed in the last. If your feed is somehow a minimum or so, probably you are not doing a quite intensive pain feeding. It means if you are not supplying adequately the feed that's required by the animal, those animals that are weak, they are going to be deprived of feeding. As you see here, that those that are feed will come and feed first. When they are fine, when they are full, it's only when those other weak animals can then come into to feed. So it's important for planning purposes, and it's also important to understand this behavior when you want to probably group your animals, how you group them. If you look closely, you see that these animals that are feeding, they are almost of the same age. They are almost of the same fitness. They are almost of the same, frame in terms of size, such that they are able to withstand each other. You look at these two guys here. Nobody can bully anybody here. They are almost of the same size in terms of size, the height, the fitness, and so they are able to withstand each other when they are feeding. So it is only this first group. You look at them; they are almost of the same size, almost of the same fitness, things like that. So it can also assist you when you want to probably group them. You can actually take them into a pen like this. You put feed. Then those ones that are able to feed at the same time, you know that these are the animals that can withstand each other. It means if I was to come here and probably I want to separate these animals, I would basically just go into the pen. All these other animals that are standing there, maybe they are weak, they are dorsal, or they are still young. So I would basically just take them into a separate pen. While these ones that are feeding here, I put them into a separate pen now as well. Probably one way of doing it would be to take these ones out first. These ones that are feeding, you take them out. You allow these ones that are standing here to come here. When they come here again, you are going to see a group of animals that are able to withstand each other. They will come, and those ones that are very weak, they'll actually be standing there waiting for these ones to finish, and then they come in. So you can actually come in, and actually in the end, you can have at least 3 groups from these animals. So this is how you do it. So you see, they were a bit hungry, and also even when you are to select animals that are probably fit already, or maybe that are into super meat grade already, you can also use this strategy. Say probably you lack the expertise to maybe see which animals are ready, are fit, or so. These ones that are here, it tells you that they are fit enough. Most of them, if you check, they are already into the super meat grade. Look at these guys. This is super. This one is almost super. That one is super. All these ones, and that's why, because they are fit now, a lot of muscle and so they are able even to fight. They have lots of energy. That's why they are able to come in and feed at the same time. Now look at this one. The moment you start seeing them fighting now, sometimes it tells you that they are close to being full. They are no longer concentrating on feeding, and so they will start fighting. It also actually opens doors for other animals to come in and feed. If one is to actually stand here and observe these animals, you see that after 45 minutes to an hour, all these animals will be full, and they will actually go back, allowing other animals to come in. So why is it possible that they will be able to move from here, allowing other animals to come here? The reason is this feed here is a high energy and protein diet. So when the animals are feed, when they are full, the process or the system of the animal tends to produce a lot of heat because it's a high energy diet. So now, when the digestion process is taking place, a lot of heat is being produced. The animal tries to minimize generating extra energy because already there's a lot of energy that's coming from the gut. So how does the animal manage that? The animal will actually try and reduce physical activity as much as possible. So these animals will move from here and they'll go there. Normally, they'll just lie down, they will sleep in order to allow only heat from the digestion to actually be the only heat that's being produced. And also sleeping or lying down, we allow that heat to actually be dissipated out of the animal. So that's how the process goes. And eventually, yeah, you are into business, and your animals are feeding quite well. They gain weight, and that's it. So you see this animal here is concentrating on feeding, very hungry. Maybe one of the most important things you should also have in mind. You see, when you are putting feed here, I always encourage farmers that if, say, for example, you are to put 2 tons is the feed that's required by the whole head or the whole, yeah, by all the animals in the pen. If it means that you have to put 2 tons per day, do not put all that feed at once. If it's possible, sometimes to minimize refusals and maybe spillages, you can put 1,000 kgs at once for the first time. Then probably that's in the morning. Then in the afternoon, maybe around 3 p.m., you then come in with another a ton in order to avoid, overfilling the troughs. Now you see a lot of feed now is now going there because it was too full. But of course, when you are splitting your feed, be mindful that your animals should be able to feed at the same time, because then if you split the feed and then you have different classes of animals which cannot feed at the same time, it means some are going to be deprived of the chance to feed. So you will have to actually manage that. Right now, coming on to the design of your water trough and in your pen feeding or in your feedlot pens, uh, like with the feed troughs, it's always important to also have this concretized inner side where the animals stand when they are drinking water, and it must be 2 meters, like we say here, because the animals are going to spend a bit more time drinking water. So where they normally stand, it must be concretized so that it doesn't dig deeper into the soil. Otherwise, you will have your water trough in the end just hanging in the air. But so that's standard to do. You should always remember that you have this concrete floor. Now, still these bars as well are also important. they're needed when you are putting your water trough. Why is it important? It actually discourages an animal from taking its head inside and outside with water and so. So if you don't put this bar, you tend to have a lot of water just spilling all over, because it will be easy for the animal to take its head in and out and so. So you want to restrict an animal that when its head is in, it's drinking water until it's full, then it takes its head out. Now, going to the location of the water trough, like we said, the water trough must always be on the lower side, the lowest point in the pen, because where there's water, you're always going to have these water spillages, and you would not want that water to actually go right into the pen. So it must be at the lowest side of your pen. In this case, this is not the ideal. Actually, this would not be the ideal location to put the water trough. As you are seeing here, there's a lot of water spillages that's going there, and it's always mud here, and it's right into the pen. We would not want this. Otherwise, the ideal location for the water trough was going to be down there, where those animals are, down by the fence there, so that if there are any water spillages, they will just go down and outside the pen. So this is also very critical. And as with the feed trough, the inner part of the water trough must be very concretized. It must be well cemented, because the animals are always going to be coming here. So if it's not strong, you will have a lot of peeling off and so, and it will make you to wanting to having to come here again and again to repair. So it's important that you make sure that it's well cemented and it's well concretized. Otherwise, the outer side there, it's fine. You can actually put a relatively weaker mixture, because it doesn't interact with the animals always. And you can have your pipe here, which brings in water, and so it's fine and so. And it's also important where there's water, especially in a feedlot. You are going to have a lot of probably food, some feed residues into the water trough, a bit of algae. As you see here, this is algae actually just developing here. And here and there, it means you need a mechanism or a way to clean the water trough. Because if your water is not clean, then it risks you having a lot of challenges with internal parasites and so. Now, because you need to be cleaning the water trough here and there, it means there has to be an outlet. There has to be a mechanism where you can just open and water goes out of the water trough easily and so. And now, if the water trough is in on the upper side of your pen, it makes it difficult to clean this. If we are to clean this in this case, for example, maybe we are to open there, it means all the water is going to go into our pen, and we don't like that. So if this water trough was down there, it was going to be easy for us if you want to now clean, because we would basically just open an outlet and water goes outside or away from our feedlot pen. So it's very critical. And to some that are creative, maybe if you have a number of pens that are adjacent to each other, you can have it in a way that's still on the lower side, but in a way that animals from both sides can actually access the water. So it's a bit now different from the water trough where you need a rod and so, because normally with the water trough, water is just coming with a pipe. So you could actually have it down there, right in the middle of the boundary between your two pens, to allow that animals from both pens can actually be drinking water at the same time. So you can also like do that, minimize its resources, and it just makes it easy to have your animals drinking water. But basically, that's what is critical about water trough. It must always be on the lower side of your pen, so that you don't have water spillages into your pen. If you master that, you are good to go. Thank you very much for watching. Let's meet again in our next sessions. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us for any consultants services around the business as well of feedlotting, the design of the pens, the design of your handling facilities, etc., and all other infrastructure that's actually important for the feedlotting businesses. Thank you. Good luck.